Thank you, Chuck. My wife Jennifer's in the back. Would you come forward? Come on, cheer around, people. Come on. She said she had a story to share. There you go. That's all I have to say. All right.
I just had this really cool realization. This morning I was thinking about little Randy getting baptized this morning. And I just thought back to the date, October the 17th. It has been 40 years since I said yes to Jesus. And I just thought, oh my gosh, how am I that old, number one? But how cool is that, you know, it was today. And I was thinking about, you know, what that meant. And that sure didn't mean that, you know, for the last 40 years that my life has been rosy and perfect, because it hasn't been. But for that 40 years, I've known that my sins are forgiven and that God loves me. And I don't know why, it just totally overwhelmed me when I thought of that. So I hope you have that too.
It was just over 2 years ago that we baptized Randy's sister, Ronnie. So it was real close, just a couple days away. All right, so we are doing a series called The Places You'll Go, talking about the doors that God opens in our lives or offers us in our lives. Whether or not we choose to go through those doors or open them is ultimately up to us. So that's what we've been kind of talking about these past few weeks. So has anyone ever stay up late at night and watch those infomercials and stuff like that? You know, the ones you shouldn't be watching, and then you pick up the phone and you order 12 dozen of them. You know, and it just looks so good, right? It just is. I got to have it. So now this one you're about to watch is a pretty old one. So see if you remember this particular infomercial. Okay, take a look.
Introducing this year's most affordable food processor, the all-new Vegemite. Its lightweight one-piece design makes it easier to use than complicated, expensive food processors. Nothing makes Maho's perfect French fries faster or better. Thick sliced whole fruits and vegetables in one stroke. Makes quick work of thick sliced pan-fried potatoes. Rotate the blade and the Vegematic thin slices. Look how easy it is to slice celery for soups and salads. Rotate the blade and the Vegematic chops a whole onion without shedding a tear. Julienne carrots? No problem. Stainless steel blades may clean up a snack. Get Vegematic, the affordable food processor, now just $19.99 from K-Tel.
Anybody have the Vegematic? Yes? Does it work like that? Yeah. It still works? When did you get it? Do you remember? First married? 30 how many? 36 years ago. And it just goes like that. Did you get a good workout too? That's what I was thinking of. The forearm workout. And it hasn't broken. That's amazing. That is amazing. I need to see this thing now. Because I guarantee you, if you bought the Vegematic today, one potato, it would be broke, wouldn't it, right? So at the end of those commercials, they always do this little thing, right? But wait, there's more. And that's actually my favorite part. Because you know, you watch it, and me and my kids, we have this little game where let's guess how much they're going to sell this item for. $29.99. Yes, but wait, there's more. 2 more free and no shipping and handling. You know, and we do that. And usually the related stuff has nothing to do with that actual product. You know, I think they're just trying to clear their shelves. But when we talk about but wait, there's more. Imagine what God has in store for us. On the but wait, there's more. About what God is going to do in our lives. All right, so that's kind of where we're headed this evening. And how many people on here are active users of Facebook? Yeah? All right. Good deal. Good. There's a stat around there that says like Facebook, if it were to be a country, I think it would be the largest country in the world based on how many people are in it and on it. But there's been a study done that actually says when we log on to Facebook, we actually don't feel very good about ourselves. Ooh, dislike, right? And what the study said, the doctor doing the study said, because we're watching everybody else's activities and we wish we were there. And we don't feel good about ourselves. We wish we were at the Browns game. There's an exception to everything, right? All right, so it kind of makes sense. So this study, this person that did the study found this out, and then but she came and she coined a term called the fear of missing out, FOMO. And so that's what she coined it as, was we were watching everybody else have a great life, and we had a fear that we were missing out. Now, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. The fear of missing out, FOMO, might help us do something. Like you might see something like, oh, that looks cool that they're doing. They went zip lining. I need to try that. And so you do that. That looks cool. They're jet skiing. I need to try that. That looks cool. They're jumping out of the building, out of an airplane. I'll pass on that. I have no problem with missing out on that, right? But this fear of missing out. And actually, this kind of goes back a long way. Go back to the book of Genesis here, chapter 3. This whole idea of the fear of missing out. This little serpent was fairly crafty when he did this. So now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? See what the serpent was doing, was saying, you're missing out. You're missing out on the rest of life here. And so it kind of tempted her that way. But you see, we have a longing for life beyond what we are experiencing right now. A fear of missing out. Isn't there something more? Isn't there something more we could be doing? Is this what I was made for? Or was I made for more? Have you ever had those thoughts or those ideas? What can I be doing? You see, the fear of missing out may actually lead us to God's open doors. It might just be that little push to say, hey, go ahead and walk through that door. Hey, here's an opportunity. I never would have tried it in my life, but I know somebody else has tried it and they're really enjoying it. So the fear of missing out might just be enough to say, hey, go ahead and go for it. God's open doors. Now, here's a little story about the Apostle Paul. He was actually in prison at this time. And imagine the prison back then. It was not like the prisons we have today. Dirty, rats, dark, dingy. And here sits Paul, and he's writing words of encouragement to churches. Words of encouragement to people saying, hey, keep with it. God's got you. Keep doing what you're doing. So, that kind of context that we see Paul in prison, and this, what's God working on here. So in Ephesians 3:20, we see what he writes here. So he pens this, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. To him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations forever and ever. Amen. Those are some pretty powerful words for a guy sitting in prison, encouraging us. Somebody who's locked up and in chains, just saying, this God, we can't even measure. We can't put words or numbers to what he's doing in our life because it's so much bigger than that. You see, God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or even imagine. That's God. So if you've ever imagined something, what if I could do that? What if I could do this? Should I do this? God's already working on it. And God can do it way bigger, way better than we ever thought we could. That's that whole, but wait, there's more with God. We may be doing something right now, and we think it's pretty cool, but God is saying, but wait, there's more. There's more we can do. And this thing that we can do, you haven't even thought of yet. It's so big, you haven't even imagined it yet. That's what God's working on for you. So the question is, what if we did that? What if we followed God's leading to this immeasurable thing that is so big that we can't even imagine? What could happen? So I found this question pretty intriguing when I was studying for this message. And I thought, well, what would people answer this on Facebook? You see, because Jesus invites us to be what if people. Jesus says, what if you live my life? You follow Jesus, right? Did what if you trusted God so much that whatever God led you to, you did? What if would happen? So he invites us to be people. So I hopped on Facebook and asked this simple question. No prompting, I didn't say for church, I didn't say for personal, I just said, what if? Please fill this out. Almost 50 people answered this. I don't have all 50 responses tonight, but if you want to go see them all, hop on Facebook, read through them. A lot of really neat responses. Some heartbreaking, some encouraging. So let's look at a few, shall we? Who wants to see a few? Oh, come on, I need more than that. Hey, turn that back, they didn't clap loud enough. All right. Fake clappers. So, a few of the answers. What if, and this is what they said, what if I had a group of friends that actually cared about me and didn't just use me? What if I had to keep my faith a secret for fear of terrorism against me and my family? And as these went through, it was kind of interesting how this conversation unfolded on Facebook. And you'll see as we go through a couple of these here. What if there's a cure for diabetes? I can't imagine how much my life would improve. What if everyone went to church? We'd need a lot more chairs, wouldn't we? What if there were no more deaths from drug abuse and drug trafficking? What if? What if you had one wish, but it could not benefit you? Somebody had to go here. What if the Browns drafted Carson Wentz? What if? Probably the most thought-provoking of all, right? What if people showed more kindness and compassion for each other? What if we all tried to be understanding towards everyone? See how that conversation even changed just in these few here? And then, of course, we end up with, what if chocolate had no calories? The real thinker there, right? What if chocolate had no calories? So Jesus is inviting us to a what-if life, right? And so what Jesus did in his life, he comes up to a point where he was born, he grew, he taught, he talked with people, he gathered followers. And after Jesus hung on the cross, died, put in the earth, came out of the earth, out of the grave, he gathered 11, I love this, the way this is written, the 11 uneducated, unconnected, unresourced followers. And he basically said, oh wait, there's more. There's more than life, and there's even more than death. Are you willing to follow? You see, Jesus says to us, but wait, there's more. There's more that we can do. There's so much more. Death isn't the end of it. There's so much. So a story I want to share with you tonight is the story of Naomi and Ruth. And as I read through this story and saw how it went through with our door idea here, closing doors, I would have to call this a story of an unusual open door opportunity. Because as we work our way through this little story here, it's not your typical, the door is open, God presented this awesome opportunity, it was easy, everything went great, family and fortune followed, that's not what happened. It's quite a different story, but a very powerful one, an open door opportunity. So it begins in the book of Ruth 1, the very first line. It kind of sets the stage. It says, in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. Things were not good. A famine in the land. Shortly after this, we find out that Ruth's husband and 2 sons all passed away because of the famine. So she's left with 2 daughter-in-laws and her. And the situation is bleak. Famine in the land. And as custom of the time, because her husband died, it was actually her husband's responsibility to find her another husband or provide her with another husband. Maybe a son, or a nephew, a brother, a husband, somebody. And she even got to the point of she's talking with these her daughter-in-laws and said, hey, this could be a long time before they find someone. You don't have to stay and keep me company. I'm okay, just go on with life, I'll be fine. So it actually comes to that point, and of course you can imagine they were crying and they were upset about this situation, and then we come to verse 14 and it says, at this point they wept loud again. It says, then Orpah, That's not Oprah. You say, Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and said goodbye. But Ruth clung to her. Look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and to her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth, should put in parentheses, gets sassy. That's what I call it. Ruth gets sassy and replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, even if it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me. When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Ruth got her point across the mission. What a neat story. A daughter-in-law clinging to her mother-in-law to the point that I'm not ever leaving you. What does that to a person? Why would Ruth choose to do that? Do you have a word for it? Starts with L, 4 letters on. Love. Right? Love is what made that happen. So in this story, we kind of see two doors that were the options of the door to stay and the door to leave. And we see that Ruth chose to stay and Orpah chose to leave. And in this situation, this door, we see that love wins. We see that Ruth stayed next to Naomi for the rest of her life because of love. Man, love's powerful. Love still works today, right? Love still works in these doors that we walk through today. This world needs God's love. So many people are broken, and lonely, and sad. They're looking for love. And we can offer that through our interactions, through our doors that we may open and walk through this week. You never know what it's going to look like. I'm sure Naomi thought, neither of my in-laws, daughter-in-laws are going to want to stay with me. They're free from their obligation. They can leave. But love kept one close. So I got a story of an unusual opportunity that happened to us several years ago. My wife and I took the kids and we were headed south to Florida in our Chevy Suburban. And so it's a long drive and the kids were little. I don't remember how little, but they're little. Remember, Jennifer? They were little, yeah, right. Nailed it. All right. So we had just, if I remember right, we had traveled to South Carolina, and we had just about headed into Georgia on a Sunday morning, and going down 77 or whatever that is there, and our car starts making a funny sound, like odd sound. Better pull off and check it. We pull off, and this was the last exit for like 60 miles. So, God's kind of like, hey, why don't you pull off right here, right now? Otherwise, you're going to be in bigger trouble. Pulled off, popped the hood, opened it up, and saw flames coming out of the engine. I was calm, cool, and collected. Jennifer was screaming her head. That's how I recall it. She may have a different version. But it wasn't within seconds, really. This guy pulled up in this small beat-up truck with a bunch of junk in it. Pulls out like a bottle of water about this big and starts dousing our flames in our engine. Meanwhile, we're calling home, Dad, what are we supposed to do? He's like, I don't know, you're 800 miles away, deal with it, all right? And we started calling friends, and we didn't know what to do, honestly, all right? Because we are in the middle of Georgia on a Sunday morning. We have no idea where we are. And this guy that we don't know came up to help us. So we made it over to the gas station. The fire was out, and he says, there's an auto parts store about 30 miles away. I'll drive you there to get the part. That's what you want to hear, right? Sure, I'll leave my family and my kids in my car, someplace where I don't know where we are, and go with you. So I did, actually. I'm sure Jennifer was out of her mind, or Joe. It was a scary time. The kids, and we looked at each other and said our goodbyes. We didn't know what was going to happen. But Harold, that's his name, Harold, I remember him looking at Jennifer and said, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Remember that, Jennifer? Did that help? No, absolutely not. Got a touching moment in the story nonetheless, right? scared out of death. So, you know, when you get in a car with somebody you don't know, you size them up. I was taller than Harold. Oh yeah, don't try anything with me, Harold. And we begin our journey 30 miles into the forest of Georgia. And somebody said, yeah, tell about the banjos. That's exactly what this feeling was, you know. Where are we at? Where are we going? It's, you know, it's a 2-lane road. We're driving past, you know, these strange buildings that say guns and ammo and, you know, bail bonds and, you know, it's, so we made it there and very little chatter with Harold, but my phone was like buzzing off the hook, all these people calling me. Hey, how's it going? And, yeah, it's wonderful. I'm with a possible psychopath in the middle of Georgia. How's your day going? You know, what are you supposed to say this time? But Harold was very nice. And we made it to the store. We ordered, got the part, we headed back. And then it was weird. Harold was hungry, so we had to stop to get something to eat. My family's with my kids in the car, and we got to stop for, you know, whatever. Thank you, Harold, for helping. So, you know, and so he went and he bought boiled eggs, a delicacy. Did you say yes to that? Because I was like, and then he's like, you want some boiled eggs? No thanks, Harold. I don't know what you have those laced with. I'm not falling for that trap. Right? Because that's how your mind works when you're in these situations, right? How am I going to die in this situation? So he made it back, and even on the ride back, you know, I started sizing up Harold a little bit more. You know, what happens if, you know, things go down? We got to take care of business. He would have beat the crap out of me. His arms are huge. I would not have stood a chance against Harold. But that's not the way God works. You know, Harold was an angel. He sent us. We get back to the car. He swaps out the alternator. We give him some money. Learned his last name was Mack. Harold Mack was his name. And what a story. You know, that was a door. It was an opportunity that love wins there. Thank goodness Harold stopped for us. Thank goodness he opened his. I'm sure he did not plan to. Let's see, what am I going to do today? Go rescue somebody, drive an hour out of my way, and fix their car. You know, that's not how it works. But because of love wins. You see, we were made for more. Not to have more out of love for ourselves, but to do more out of love for God. That story happened 15 years ago or so, you know, and it still impacted our lives for what he did. You see, love opens doors. I posted this on Facebook while we were talking tonight, and somebody tagged me in a post that I wanted to share with you. It's always enjoy when the message doesn't come from me, but other people give stuff to this message. So let me read this to you here. Okay. So it says, and it goes right here with this whole idea of love wins and how much more we can do. It says, while much of America seems to be getting more and more divisive, I'm going to be holding doors for strangers. I'm going to be letting people go out in front of me in traffic. I'm greeting all I meet, exercising patience with others, and smiling at strangers. I'll do this as often as I have the opportunity. I will not stand idly by and let children live in a world where unconditional love is invisible and being rude is acceptable. Join me in showing love and respect to others. Find your way to swing the pendulum in the direction of love, because today, sadly, hate is gaining ground. Love must begin somewhere, and love will overcome hate. Imagine the difference if we each purposely love a little more. I thought, man, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about tonight. We were made to love. We were made to love. Now this week, please keep your eyes open and your mind ready for God to work in your life. To offer you these opportunities where you think this is just a small act of kindness is going to mean the world to somebody else. You're showing God's love as you walk through these open doors, these options. And that's just the beginning, right? Because when we work with God, we see, but wait, there's no God. God's unimaginable, immeasurable, unstoppable work in our lives happens because of our obedience and work. God, we thank you so much for bringing it together. God, you know, sometimes we just don't understand how you work in our lives. Lord, but help us to always be on to let you work in our lives. Even when we don't understand understand this opportunity, this open door you put before us. Help us to walk through strongly and boldly with the assurance that you put us there and that you're with us. Lord, we just pray this week as we go through life with our family, our friends, and our workplaces that you will do the unimaginable, the immeasurable. That people will see your love shine through us. Maybe it's through our actions, maybe it's through our words, maybe it's just the way we carry ourselves, the smile on our face. Lord, we know that this world needs your love. People are hungry for your love. That we want to do. We ask your blessings on everyone here today, Lord. We thank you for their time and their dedication and their commitment to you. We know because of that, our families are stronger, our communities are stronger. We pray that our relationships with you grow stronger every day. Lord, we ask that you lead us, and teach us, and you guide us in your will for our life, for our community, and for this world. In the name of Jesus, we always do pray. Amen.